Hey guys, welcome to another podcast with Local Growth Academy. Micha here. I've got my good friend and an amazing leader in this space, Brandon Vaughn. For those of you who don't know him, he had a family business, got a really cool backstory there, built it up. A cool story with him and his dad. Also has a very successful franchise, concrete coating company, wisecoatings.com. Amazing success story there, and just his leadership is so awesome to watch. And he also started one of his newer things that he did is HireBus. So he's got a company that, helps you get amazing hires for all kinds of different companies, all kinds of different spaces. With that said, Brandon, welcome. Thanks for spending some time with us today, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Micah. Thank you, man. Thank you for the kind words. Really appreciate that. And for those that are watching and wondering what the heck's going on, why am I bouncing up and down? I'm walking on a treadmill. Okay. I'm not dancing under the table. I promise. I'm getting my steps in, baby.
I love it, man. I love it. That's so cool. I had a guy that worked with me once that did the medicine ball thing. Like he just replaced a chair with a medicine ball, and apparently, it kind of always wobbles. So just like
Oh,
he was really
yeah.
focused on. I was like, that's kind of a neat idea. It just like really keeps your core strength up. Super, super fit guy. I love that you're walking on a treadmill though.
Yeah. It's been 9 to 12 miles a day on this
Wow.
thing. I
Wow.
lost 50 pounds and
Wow.
about 16% body fat. It's
Wow.
been crazy. Never, ever, ever imagined that all it would take is me just walking while I'm
Walking.
on Zoom calls for this to happen, because I didn't change much else diet wise or even exercise wise, just added this in.
I might be taking a lead from you, man. Because like, I was in the Air Force, right?
Oh,
And
yeah.
my job was very physical. I was basically a mechanic. Like I had leadership responsibilities. I troubleshot. I scheduled planes, ordered parts, did all sorts of things like that. So those are pretty fun stuff. But at the end of the day, is a glorified mechanic role. So I
Mm.
was a guy with a wrench and a tool case. Like I'm out in the hot sun, 100
Yeah.
degrees on the concrete, and
Dang.
and parts are heavy. There
Yeah.
was a there was a
Sure.
there was a tire that we'd have to change on the plane, and it was a 2-man lift, and it should have been a 3-man weight wise, but you can't fit 2 people with 3 people. You had to do it two. And things like this big around and like this tall. It's just crazy heavy. So that was like my day to day,
Hmm.
10, 12 hours a day, just walking around in the sun, lifting stuff. I was like 182 to 185 pounds.
Hmm.
I eat the same kind of food. I've always eaten relatively healthy. I'll snack every once in a while, but nothing crazy. And I am like at 195, and I'm not like definitely not obese or anything, but just a little bit. And I exercise too, but it's just because I'm not exercising like 8 to 10 hours a day. And I
Right.
think that little thing of just moving might be the key, dude. I think you might have found something pretty cool.
Yeah, man. It's a game changer. And I think the coolest part about it is it's a small little tweak in my process. And that's kind of the things that I'm obsessed with is how can I stack a new habit into something that I'm already kind of doing.
James Clear,
And
I can hear James Clear speaking through
yeah,
you.
yeah, that's right. My favorite books, man.
Yeah, yeah,
And and not obsess too much about like, okay, I have to have this huge big old plan. Because I do that a lot. I would say, okay, I need to have this big plan. I want to do X by X, and then this is what I'm going to do. And I couldn't achieve that reward until I kind of got there. Whereas now a big mental shift for me is what's called ER goals. And that is like, I want to be healthier. And it's just a goal for today.
Gotcha.
That's it. I want to be healthier. And there's
A
an
little
action that I
better,
can
a
do
little
today.
faster.
Yep.
Just add ER to the whatever the word is you're doing, and that's it.
Yeah. And so, and you basically, the book that I got this from is a book called The Consistency Chain.
I put
And
it on Amazon wish list, but I haven't read it yet.
it's really good. It's really, really good. It's written by these two individuals that I've come to know on a little more of like a personal level, but it's
Cool.
written in a very unique way where it kind of talks about the Pareto principle and the 80-20 rule,
Gotcha.
where, 20% of people will do something that is exceptional. And then you have the 80% of the rest of us that
Yeah.
really kind of just struggle with kind of executing on things.
Mm-hmm.
And the systems that people need for us that are like in that 80% is these little small incremental little changes. And with someone who has really high ADHD, I'll like get something to an 80% level and I drop off. But just something that I can just look in the mirror every day and say, I crushed the day. I
I
won the
did a
day
little bit
because I did
better.
my things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a little bit better and just quantify it.
That's amazing.
It's
I mean,
changed a
it's
lot for me.
kind of it's a different phrasing, but it's kind of like the 1% in Atomic Habits,
It is. Yeah.
1% better every day. I
Yep.
think it's simpler though, pun intended. I'd use the ER.
Nice. That was
That's
smooth,
great.
man. That was fast.
That was super fast, right? I only get one of those per podcast. That's all I get. That's my only witty moment. Hey,
Yeah.
speaking of habits, though, like one of the things that's intrigued me, and I know that I'm susceptible to this, and I have really high ADHD tendencies too. Um, but for me, what I found, and I never feel it when I'm in the moment, never. But when I look back at it, I can always analyze if I'm really, really being honest with myself. All that over preparation that we're talking about, like where I've got to have this big plan before I can do this. Like before I go run, I've got to have the new pair of shoes and I've got to have the whatever it is, right? Or
Yeah.
before I record this video, I got to have the new camera, whatever, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like all that is, when I'm really honest with myself, is a form of fear.
Mm.
And I'm using this procrastination and trying to make this perfect scenario just because I'm scared to start that one thing when I'm
Mm.
brutally, brutally honest.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that I've been focusing on is not I'm gonna play with that ER thing. But for me,
Mm.
it's just been like, okay, I'm delaying this, which probably means I'm scared to start, and then like really just tackling personally why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I've been doing that for a couple of years. It's reduced a lot of fears. In fact, being on video like this is relatively new for me.
Mm.
Um, I've been in the agency and media space for nearly 20 years, and almost all the time I've been building someone else's brand. I've been on the other side of the camera, not on this side. And it's
Right.
only been in the last like 2.5, 3 years that I actually started like putting myself out there. And looking back at that, that was 100% just fear.
It's interesting. It's kind of like the intersection of ADHD and OCD. And I kind of find that
Yep.
there's a lot of entrepreneurs that kind of hit that intersection really, really tightly.
Yep.
Because for me, I
I'm
mean,
right there.
what you just said resounded 100% with me. The fear of wanting to put something out that I feel like is not as good as it could have been. And if
Yeah.
I just would have put a little more intentional thought and design and strategy and structure behind it, like I could have made it just a little bit better.
Yeah.
But I've found something that's been helpful is taking a page out of the engineering process. When engineers build a system or they build a process or a tool or a scientific method, there's an MVP, a minimum viable process.
I love that
That's
term, by
done.
the way.
And it's just, you have to iterate because the feedback part of the process is actually the learning mechanism for improvement. You
Yeah.
can't research and get everything designed out exactly right and then ship it. And it's like, wow, it just works straight out of the gate.
Dude,
It's
planes
like
have
this
test flights.
incremental
You know, before they
improvement.
put, the engines have test flights, rockets have test flights. Think all those test flights that like SpaceX did.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, you
Elon
had to have that
celebrates
iteration.
when a rocket explodes because he's like,
Mhm.
well, we just learned another way how not to build a rocket.
Right. Or probably more like how not to build that software that was controlling the rocket. But yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's really important, and that's one of the things that I was trying to internally go through the feedback loops, pretending in my head until I had this perfect scenario. But you never get perfect, right? And
Right.
it was really just letting go, like, hey, man, it doesn't matter what it is. Like, I've got to just let go and allow it to be imperfect, and I'll get plenty of feedback. You
Yeah.
know,
Boy,
um,
there's a lot of principles for life in there. I mean, I feel like we could take this conversation in a dozen different ways right now,
well,
from how you iterate on your marketing to how you put systems in your business to how you show up for your family, how you show up for your health, your fitness. Like every single discipline in life follows this process of
yeah,
you send it, speed of execution,
yep,
and then the ability to get feedback on that test, tweak
mm-hmm.
the process, and send it again. And just that constant 1% improvement like affects everything we
A
do in
little bit
life.
better every day, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still find myself in some areas struggling with those things, and I think that it's that OCD ADHD like intersection you talked about.
Yeah.
But I'm more acutely aware of it now, and so
Mm.
because I'm aware of it, like I'll even sometimes feel it coming on. I'm like, like I can take a beat and I can kind of readjust and recenter and get over it. But there were years like I didn't even realize what was going on. I just didn't do it, and then it wasn't really till I read a couple books like Atomic Habits and a couple others. I was like, hey, this is something I need to internally work on, you know?
Oh man, you'll
And,
love Consistency Chain. You should really check that book out.
it's on my list. I'm going to buy it
George
tonight.
Campbell and Jim Packard. It's
Yeah.
really, really good.
Love
And
it.
they actually originally wrote it for like network marketing, which is
Oh, did they?
fascinating. Yeah. Because in network marketing, multi-level marketing, that whole thing of just a daily action that
Yeah.
you just have to do. Don't worry about the whole thing. Just set an ER goal of having a conversation with somebody. But it doesn't matter what it looks like. Just like, don't worry about the whole thing. Just what can you control today? And I read the book and I got more out of it from a health perspective that kind of changed my entire philosophy and relationship with setting goals on the fitness health side of things.
Yeah,
And I
that's
told
awesome.
them that, and it's interesting how much it applies.
Yeah. You know, a cross section though. I don't know if you know this, but I actually got my start in marketing in network marketing.
Did you really?
Yeah. So
That's
like
fascinating.
out of the Air Force, like so I mean this is like 2005, late 2005, early 2006. I mean,
Oh man, I want to know what
yeah, I
company it
mean
was.
MySpace was still a thing at the time. That paints the picture, right? You know what I mean? Like it was a legitimate tactic if you were a small business owner, trades like I work with right now, and you own a trades company. Like if
Yeah,
at that moment if you didn't have a yellow pages, you were dumb, right? And now like yellow pages is all online and it's all but dead.
right.
So just a completely different time. And so when I got out, the first couple of years, I got a job at an infomercial agency that did like television infomercial products and multi-level marketing products and systems and courses, and that's what I did.
Hmm.
So like, script writing and TV buying and video editing and all these kinds of things. That's kind of where I cut my teeth in learning it. And it's cool because I learned really like the psychology on sales because they are really good at that. That industry is really, really good at selling
It's true.
um, in a very, very quick window. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like a 30-second TV spot taking someone from never heard of this product to calling on the phone in 30
Right.
seconds is pretty magical process. And
Hmm.
it's pretty cool to learn that. And I've been able to use that throughout my career, just kind of pulling back from some of those things that I've learned.
That's awesome. What was the company that was your first network marketing company you joined?
So it wasn't direct. It was through an agency. The agency is no longer in there, but I worked with all kinds of products like Jeunesse and Amway and a few
Yeah.
others, a couple televangelist products and a couple other things. So I mean, there's some big ones. Some of them, I don't know if you follow that niche a lot, but there's a lot of them that like start up and just flop fast. Like there
Yeah.
was one, God, I can't remember something with mommies something or another, and it was here locally in like the Jacksonville, Florida area. It's a cool product. It's like all healthy stuff for moms, like baby clothes that are natural, all kinds of like natural stuff. But it was an MLM line. It had a really great first year and tanked fast.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know why, but I was a part of that. You know what I mean? So I saw
Yeah.
most of them. They kind of like had this great idea. They would come up and then they would tank fast. But it seemed to be mostly on the leadership and recruiting side of things where that would struggle. And then you have
Yep.
some of the bigger ones like the Amways of the world where they've been around for half of forever. They've got
Hmm.
tons and tons of like leaders in their space and they're doing great. You know.
Yeah. It's a lot more focused on the product itself rather than just the recruiting side.
Correct.
Like
Yeah,
there's
and I saw
real
and I saw
channels.
some of it. It's like well, that's you're bordering between a pyramid scheme, and the primary difference between a pyramid scheme and an MLM is whether or not you're product focused or team focused. Because
Hmm.
like a pyramid, our government is a pyramid, your company is a pyramid, my company is a pyramid, right? There's a CEO, and it trickles down from there. So it's not the structure of people that makes it illegal or not illegal. The definition according to FCC is like, I'm paraphrasing here, of course, it's whether the entire business model is just recruiting within that pyramid, right? And like a certain percentage of the activities have to be like actually selling a real product. And Amway's
Hmm.
got that figured out. You can just buy stuff from Amway if you want to. I
Right.
mean, I don't know what their sales are these days, but like you don't have to be a part of their like their their line, right? Their team line to buy something, you know? And you get these other ones that are just like team. That's all they focus on. They really don't even care what they sell. Those
Hmm.
ones tend to flop pretty hard and pretty fast.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It's interesting the lessons that I've learned from some of those experiences. Like I did Mana V, I think was one that was like a health supplement. I did Legal
I was
Shield.
part. I did some video spots for that company too.
Did you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
early on,
So
like year one. Yeah.
the vector marketing for Cutco knives, like I worked there for a while,
Oh,
and
that's cool.
that's not as much network marketing, but boy, I learned a ton and have actually applied some of their principles in selling Cutco knives to even when I build out my sales teams. Like
Were
one
they
of the
were they
things,
one of those companies that did like the in home dinner party kind of selling?
It was kind of like that. Yeah. They have the demos, they have the knives. You take out your
Mhm.
knife packet and you're like, bring out
Yeah.
your tomatoes, bring out your, like, cut the
Yeah,
leather, cut
I know
the
what company
penny.
I know what company you're talking about. I've seen those before. Yeah.
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 And it was a blast, but this is how the recruiting process went. For those that are listening, if you want to know like how to tee up a salesperson for success, it was pretty amazing. I got in there and they had all of us a big group interview onboarding process. So
Mhm.
there's like 12 of us in this big conference room and they're all training us at the same time on how to do this. And they start out by saying, okay, we're going to make a competition. Before we get started, we're gonna have a competition. The winner is going to get like this really nice, expensive knife, and you're going to see. We're going to start a timer, and in 5 minutes, we're going to see how many names you can write down. And it could be family members, it could be friends, it could be people at your church. You can get out your phone, you can do whatever you want, but it's going to be actually legibly written names all the way down and begin. And so you don't have much context as to why you're doing this. You're just like, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my nephew, my cousin, my, like, just start going
Yeah.
like crazy. And at the end of the 5 minutes, they give out the winner and they're like, okay, this is your cold calling list. And for the next hour, the
That's who you're
script that you're
calling.
going to call every single one of these people and like say, I was like, oh no, what have I done?
Yep.
I'm putting names and numbers of people, but like we did it. And it was definitely uncomfortable. And
Mhm.
but the social pressure kind of being there, being all part of that. And I sold thousands of dollars worth of knives just from that one single exercise.
That's really
And
awesome.
yeah. And so like when I've hired salespeople for Wise Coatings, one of the first initial things that we do is have them come into the business and say like, okay, here's how the commission works. Here's how our structure, leads that we supply to you, leads that you bring up on your own. First, we're just going to go ahead and just do like a little brain dump exercise. I want to start a timer, see how many names you can come up with. And I literally follow a very, very similar type of process.
That's
And
pretty
when I
cool.
started Wise Coatings, my first salesperson, I had him do this. And he was coming up with builder names and people that own businesses. And
Awesome.
then literally it's like, okay, for the rest of the day, you're just going to be calling them, telling them what you're doing, saying that we're looking for 5 homeowners, 5 garages to do with a huge discount because we're wanting to kind of get some of our portfolio put together.
Yeah.
And it was great. Like he sold a whole bunch of ones before we even started spending $1 on marketing,
That's
just
great.
through that one single thing.
Yeah. And then did you use that for like your training videos and all those first initial projects that you were doing?
I mean, we recorded it and we did
Yeah.
load it into it. And then we have franchisees that come in during their training week. We do the same process with them because, the whole thing about marketing is people just have to know that you exist. And nothing pained me more in my business than when I would go to a customer's house and realize that they just hired somebody to do a service that I provide. And then
Yeah.
it dawned on me, they're like, I didn't even know that you did that kind of a thing. It's like, shame on me, for not being loud enough and letting people know what it is I'm doing and being proud of it and,
Yep.
wanting to put my name out there. And it's
Yep.
just kind of those daily consistent activities that can make all the difference where you just don't have to be so 100% reliant upon, digital spend. Like it has to be
Yeah.
a blend between the two. It has to be prospecting efforts and intentional work, and then supplementing and making sure you have a lever that can actually scale,
For
uh,
sure.
which is
Yeah,
great.
I think anyone that's trying to do like straight up ads, like it's so risky. I mean, if you get the right creative right away, you can launch, and you did pretty well. Like, I mean, you got Wise Coatings to 100K in what, like 4 months, 3 months, something like that.
Mhm.
Like really, really short timeline. Of course, that you had a sales and marketing background before, so that helped a lot.
Yes.
Um, but I mean, you can scale that quick, but most people, especially when they're DIYing it without that sales and marketing experience or without the capital to hire an agency, it's way more risky and it's way more likely that you're going to have quite a few ads that stumble and don't. So, like for me, I always love to have healthy balances of like organic content and paid stuff for like myself and our clients. Like it just gives a really good balance.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So, that 1% better every day, consistent activities, just
Hmm.
picking up a phone and calling people that have businesses that are complementary to your own. If you
Hmm.
just did that every single day, you would be shocked at how much additional partners and strategic partners and networking building that you could do. It's just, do we do it? Do we actually put it on our calendar? It's one thing to just say we're going to do it. We know that we need to do it. It's another thing to actually just put it out in our calendar as a plan, which, I mean, if I don't do that, it just doesn't happen straight up.
Dude, you and I have that in common, and I think we actually had to reschedule this a couple of times because the same thing. But like my schedule, like my calendar is what I wake up, and whatever's on that day is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Um, and like for me, I had to get away from task lists. Like task lists are cool when you're looking at like a team, like who's got to do what, and got a project manager maybe looking at that for like a team sense. Like it makes sense. There's a point in it, but at an individual level, I think tasks are actually counterproductive because like you just get this task list and it's almost like inundating. And everyone has that thing where you check off one task and 10 more things get added to your list. Like everyone has that. And so like for me, I just get anxiety looking at the amount of tasks that are on my task list, you
Mm.
know? And so I'll just look at what I do is I take a look once a week, typically on Sunday. If I'm traveling, it might be Friday into Friday or something, but I kind of tee up. This is loosely what Monday is going to look like, loosely what Tuesday is going to look like. I know it won't be perfect because sometimes things will take longer or whatever, but I'm going to loosely say, these are the things that I'm doing next week. And I put them on the calendar, right?
Mm-hmm.
I start my day with a deep work block. So from 8 in the morning to 12, there's no appointments available on my calendar. This is like
Mm-hmm.
notifications are off. This is just me time. And that's the time where I can record content. I can write a video script. I can work on some strategic things, SOPs, training, whatever it is I need to do. Right. But it's something I determine and I think is going to move the needle in me or my business or both. And then I put those things there. And then like after that part, it ends up getting meetings and whatnot, to sales meetings, leadership meetings, team meetings, project meetings, whatever. And then what I do is at the top of every day before 8 is I'll refine what that day is going to be. You know, maybe someone canceled an appointment. I actually had that earlier, a couple hours ago. Someone canceled an appointment. I had an extra hour, so I just put a little drug of work. So I'm going to do this here instead.
Yep.
So I do those things. But like for me, like my task is they're not really tasks. It's just what's on my calendar, and I found that to work so much better.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, 100%. I mean, if anyone's listening to that and you didn't have an epiphany moment where you need to go immediately to your calendar and start implementing some of that, like just execute on that side of it.
I
There's
got, I
a,
got I got that from this guy at this conference years ago. I forget the guy's name. I remember the company he founded is a landing page software called 10-Minute Pages. And the guy was a founder of that, and he talked about like how he did time blocking, and I was like, whoa. And from that point on, I've been doing it, and it's just revolutionary.
love that.
Mhm.
There's a gentleman that he's a friend of mine. His name is Jason Evers. And I was listening to him speak at a conference. And one of the things that he brought up for me just really kind of struck me. And that is there's no shortage of things you can have on your to-do list. Everyone will add something to it.
Yep.
You get emails every day.
Yep.
And he's like, you know what the E stands for? Everybody else's agenda. Like when
Oh,
you get an email,
that's
everybody else is asking something of you. It's fitting their agenda. It's a request. It's a demand. It's a, inquiry. Like it's everyone else's. And the second part of it, he said, is that was really transformational for me is he said, you should have a stop doing list instead of a to-do list. And if you have things that you know are draining of your energy, are low leverage tasks that are part of just the day-to-day operations inside of your business, they're tasks that you can delegate to somebody else for a substantially lower, value per hour type of a task. And you just start being really strategic about these are all the things I need to stop doing. Well, how do I stop doing this task? Who can I delegate it to? How can I automate it? How can I put a
Mhm.
system in place where that gets tucked underneath of someone else? Or how can I go find someone to bring in to now own that part of the business so that my time is now freed up and I can work on these really high leverage tasks that nobody else in my company is doing? And a lot of people say, well, I just don't have time. I don't have time. It's fantastic. What are you expecting to happen? It's just going to manufacture itself one day? That's never
Yeah,
going to happen. Like
I know.
when you have a vacuum of space, it pulls stuff in. If you have a hole on your calendar, it's things are going to
Something
get sucked
happened.
into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna get filled.
Yep.
Instead, you have to be very, very intentional at playing like the swap game, and you're swapping out time, not just for the sake of, well, okay, now I can just relax and just go hang out on the beach per se, unless you've gotten to that part where you've earned that. But instead it's like, now I'm going to replace that time that I've bought out with a high leverage activity. And almost all of those things have to do with working on the business, being strategic, putting in systems, thinking through the financial side of your business, dashboards, KPIs,
That's
you know,
all.
the,
That's where I
math
try to spend
equation of
90% of my
business.
time. Like every time I do, I add an SOP for the team, or record a piece of content for social media, or meet with the production team, or meet with the sales team. Like that is my highest leverage activities. Those
Yeah.
things are
Mm.
building into the team and training and developing. That's where it's really all at.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I heard something similar. I approach what you do too. I heard, and I can't remember who said this either. Probably it was probably a social meme that I grabbed it from because I don't remember the name. But someone had positioned a eliminate, delegate, automate, do, and it should go through that model. So the task comes to you, right? First thing you should be trying to do is just eliminate it. Does this even need to be done? How many tasks do we do every day that don't even really matter at all? Like, not even just get somebody else to do it. Like, you don't have to do it. There's tons of those. I do them all the time. I'm like, why did I even bother? Like, it just doesn't,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know? Like, what is that what is that one pixel adjustment on that website going to do? Like nothing. Like absolutely nothing. Why
Yeah.
did I waste my time
Actually
doing
going to
that?
move the needle.
Yeah, that's not doing anything, right?
You're
So there's
right.
a lot of
That's
silly
hard
things.
to do, by the way. There's a lot just tacked underneath just that one thing where people could
Right.
really
I know
use
you
them.
might remove 10, 20, 30% of your crap just by that. Like, does this really need to be done by anybody?
Yeah.
If we do this, will a week or a month or a year later, will anyone notice or care, or will it drive the needle up? If no, you probably don't need to do it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it does need to be done, if it's still like, yep, it needs to be done, then you want to try to automate it or delegate it. And that just depends on like if it's a one-off thing that can be done by somebody else, you delegate it. If it's a thing that happens over and over and over again, some sort of automation, your CRM's app or something should be automating it, right? And then if all
AI
of that fails,
agents. AI
yeah,
agents has
AI
changed
agents is a
everything,
new thing that I'm playing with. Yeah, we're doing
dude.
a bunch of AI agents, all kinds
Same.
of repetitive things. So we have CRM do a bunch of automation. We have Zapier, and we're launching and doing some new AI agents. Dude, I have an AI texting agent in my Go High level. I got an AI phone agent taking phone calls. Is it perfect? No, but it
Mhm.
reduces the amount of time drastically. And everyone knows it's an AI. It's cool. It's open with it, but it still gets to the point. Still gets to the finish line. It does what it's supposed to do.
Right.
But then if all of those are not satisfied, if it's something that must be done, so you can't throw it out there, you can't automate it because it's a one-off problem, and no one else has a skill set or knowledge to be able to do it, then that means that you as a business owner should be the one to do it. You know what I mean? And I use that filter as much as possible, and it saves me tons of time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not perfect. I'll still do things that I probably should have. Sometimes it's also just manpower. Like,
Not
hey,
perfect. Dang,
I
Micah.
know, I know, right?
You
I
got to
think
get your stuff together.
I should. One of these days, I'll be like Brandon.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I
Uh,
think the biggest failure point I have in that method, trying to apply it, is like there'll be things that like I should delegate, but I just don't have the manpower in my team to delegate it, so I still end up doing it. That's the absolute number one thing that ends up on my plate that shouldn't. Is just because my team is not as big as it will be. It's growing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So they'll be like, oh well, there's a deadline this person has. This person should take it, but they can't, so I'll just go ahead and do it. And I probably shouldn't, but that happens for me. But in a
Wow.
perfect world, I think it's a great filter. Great filter.
I think it's fantastic. And the team part of it's so critical too, because the team that gets you here is not the team that gets you there. And I
Yeah.
think I've heard a lot of quotes around this, and I believe it, and I communicate this to my team quite a bit. AI is not going to take your job. Someone who knows how to use AI, interact
Right.
with AI, set up with that could.
Yeah.
And everybody on my team, the message that has been so critically communicated is there are tools right now that are unbelievably inexpensive that can radically transform a business, the entire way of how you do something, if an application of AI can be done. If you're a bottleneck in writing your email copy and putting things together, like building
That doesn't even take an AI agent. That's just ChatGPT can do that for you.
yeah, you can build it. You can build a custom GPT.
Mm-hmm.
N8N is probably one of the most powerful tools that I've been geeking out over lately. And there's just so many things that you can build and you can scale to be able to just completely remove yourself from a lot of the operational constraints. And it's just an application of creativity and understanding how to use those tools and that technology. And I've been getting so obsessed with just leaning into that part of it so hard, because a lot of things are now possible to automate that even a year ago were not possible to automate.
Well, I mean, automation used to be like a switch, like this condition happened, so this setting changed, like on off, or this
Yeah.
custom field is yes, no, and then that's
Yep.
the trigger, right? So
Yep.
traditional automation says there's a condition, if else. So if this is true, do this, else do this, and then you go through a sequence of actions. So like if someone fills out a form, then send this email auto reply. That's one of the most basic ones, right? But it's just if else. But AI does, I mean, I know there's still like nested thousands of layers of if else, but just the way our brain works, it's not really if else. You know what I mean? It's like, here's this complex problem, go solve it. And it'll
Right.
just do the middle things that it needs to do.
That's the intelligence part.
That's the intelligence part, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've been playing with a bunch of AI too, man. One of the coolest things that we've been doing is using it for analysis in ways that like used to take us weeks. Like doing a really in-depth SEO analysis of one business, like say a new client, and you're trying to analyze to say the top 5 competitors on Google. That is a labor intensive, and I've done it thousands of times. It's a labor intensive thing. You know, you're scanning codes, but you're also looking at things, like reading
Mm-hmm.
things, looking at directory. There's like a dozen tools and countless hours to try to get that. And then you got to summarize that stuff and put it into an Excel sheet or something that someone can interpret on your team and actually act on. And I've got an agent right now that's doing this stuff for me in like an hour. You know,
Mm-hmm.
what used to take us like 40 hours, 50 hours of work is being done in like 30 to 60 minutes now.
Mm-hmm.
And that tool costs me $100 a month.
I know.
It's just ridiculous.
People
Can I
don't
hire more
people
people
don't
to do that?
understand.
Sure. But I could also just put that in the hands of like, you know, my CMO, who happens to be my wife, and she can run these things and then boom, just give the reports to the team. And now they're taking action on it. It's so much.
Right.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
What
It's
kind of fun ways are you using AI right now?
true. Oh boy.
I'm
So
sure
many
there's
of
a
them.
lot.
Yeah. One of the, I mean, there's several different ways that we're doing it. I mean, the main one that we're using is we're doing full agentic hiring. So that's
Gotcha.
where I've been obsessed with HireBus and building out a platform that auto writes a job ads, posts the job ads, messages all the candidates with very clear intent to be able to drive them through the funnel.
Mm-hmm.
AI interviews. So we're doing phone interviews with candidates and
With an
comparing
AI
those.
agent.
Yeah, benchmarking
Crazy.
those against humans. So the application flow is a candidate who's applied for a job gets an instant text, instant engagement, clicks a link, is able to even completely bypass the application step and just get on a call with an
Oh,
AI
wow.
agent that's
Oh, wow.
incredibly intelligent, next to zero latency. It's not one of those really frustrating interrupting type where it's talking all over you and you're just like,
Yeah.
please, human operator. And it's not being programmed in the way that first we ask this question, then we ask this question, then we ask this question, then we ask this. Well, what happens if this person answers this question really crappy? Well, now you have to have another conditional step that says if person answers this question crappy, then do this.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
what
like
does
nested
crappy
if else
mean? How do
stuff.
you define crappy?
Yeah.
Well, if they answer in this way. So before you know it, to try to build out like an automation, it would be this insane branched tree that would take, I mean, it's impossible to build. It's absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
But the biggest part is getting that, taking their resume, the transcript of the interview, their behavioral assessment, the context of how they answered the application, and then analyzing and combining all that together and coming up with a blended right seat score that says like how
Like a
well this person
rubric score,
should be
like
benchmarked.
some sort of your own internal rubric of how you gauge them.
Behaviors, experience, and skills.
Yeah.
Those are 3 components that make up our proprietary right seat score.
Mm-hmm.
And that part of the process right now is already insane. The stuff that we're building out for the employee side of the business is going to really blow people's minds as far as how to be able to engage and coach and develop them. And all of it is done using really intelligent agents that are complemented by the human component when it absolutely matters the most, which is in the final decision making process, and that connection part. But all the administrative stuff, I mean, candidates on Indeed, they can apply to 50 different jobs in 30 minutes.
And they
So
very often do.
they do. And
More often
chasing
than
them
not,
down,
they just bulk apply. It's like apply, apply,
getting
apply, apply.
ghosted,
Mm-hmm.
drop offs,
Mm-hmm.
all of that. It's kind of like an Angie lead where,
Yeah.
you got, okay, I got a candidate that's interested in my job that also is applying to 20 other jobs. And who's going to be the first touch and the last touch and the next touch and speed to lead and all recruiting is a marketing problem to solve. So a lot of the AI agents on the
Honestly,
marketing side,
recruiting and marketing are so similar. It's scary.
so similar,
Yeah.
so similar.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big way, that the main primary way that we've been just obsessed with kind of building that part of the process out.
That's
And
awesome.
we've made a lot of strides in that area. Like our platform is going to look unbelievably different here in just even the next couple of weeks, because we're shipping at a speed that we've never been able to do before either, because we're agentically now building out the entire platform itself. And the other part of it is having tools and applying AI agents at every single stacked layer inside of our business, whether it is the marketing side, the content management side, content marketing side, the customer service side, taking a look at, like, we've been building out our common data model. And there's ways now where you can use APIs to pull your QuickBooks information, your Stripe data, your CRM data from HubSpot, and you can load it into your own Supabase
and feed it in there.
database, and then have your AI agents provide you critical insights and coach you as to exactly what you need to do with your business based on like data. And then co-intelligence is really important too. Like, there's a lot of people just blindly follow what AI says, and AI is not always right.
It's often wrong.
It can hallucinate. It can miss things. So that co-intelligence part of it is so critical, where how you prompt it, how you engineer it, what data, what context you feed into it is equal to the quality of your output. And all that human component of creativity and context is critical for AI to be able to do its job. So there's a lot that we've been learning and kind of obsessing over.
That's a few steps above what I'm doing, but I'm doing something that's like a fraction of that. So first quarter this year, we went back, and a couple people in our leadership team, myself and my wife and a couple other people, we wanted to pour into and do a major revision to our like core employee handbook, like our policies, our vision, a bunch of values, a bunch of things. We just hadn't revisited it much in the last few years. And so we just like, we need to, we've grown a bit, we've changed a bit. Let's revisit this. We expanded it. We changed a bunch of stuff. And now I've got this really long handbook. And one of the cool things that I've done is just taken that and given it to, AI. And AI helped me write it too. So ironically enough, and then after it's done, I can just export that PDF, throw it into an AI. Now it's got that as a language model. And that thing has everything from time off policies to vision, hiring, firing policies, to vision or quarter rocks, like something from traction. We put that all in there. Like what is our 10-year projection, our 3-year projection, 1 year, quarter, like that's all documented in that same place. And so we can do that and then feed it things like QuickBooks data and Facebook ads data and Google ads data. And all of a sudden now it can solve some giant problems for us very, very, very fast because we prompted it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really, really been really, really cool to see that, what it's doing.
It's a wild world, man. It's a wild world. A lot of people are very blind to what's happening, and all they talk about is how AI gets fingers wrong in image generation, and people are going to be in for an extremely rude awakening, and all this, it's just going to happen, and people are their head's going to spin. What in the world is going on? Like, when did this happen? How did this happen? It happened so fast, which is true. But I mean, I can't even watch videos on AI for education that's older than 2 weeks old. Like that's how fast it's moving.
It is. Yeah. It's really scary. It used to be like, if you did like Googled something and you'd always see the date by the blog article or the video, and you'd be like, oh, that's 2 years old. It's too old. Let me get something. This one's good. It's a year and a half old. That's fine. And AI, like if it's not within a couple of weeks, it's like dead.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been absolutely wild.
Yeah.
That game that video game that you did for HireBus, was that partially done by AI too?
It's 100% done with it. I'm not a
Okay.
coder. I'm not a developer. Yeah. Yeah. I wrote all of that. Again, co-intelligence came up with the idea, came up with the concept,
And
and
then it coded, and
AI
then you played
wrote
with it and
all the
tweaked it back
code
and forth.
for it. Yep. Gave me step by step on how to do it. And then that whole project of building that arcade cabinet, there was a lot of conversations like, hey, I don't know how to.
For those of you listening in that didn't see it, this was really cool. Brandon built like an old retro video game, but it's a HireBus video game. So he built, and it's like this one of the coolest like lead magnets I've ever seen. So you're going through this like trade show booth at PCA, and his booth just has this video game right in front. So everyone walks to it because like everyone loves retro video games, and then walk us through it. And you get to play this video game that's like has some tie-ins to how HireBus works, and you got your little launch rocket button. It's freaking awesome. One of the coolest things I've ever seen at any booth ever.
Oh, dude, thank you, man.
I
That means
love
a
it,
lot.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a blast to put together. And it's so funny because back then using AI in that kind of a way was just kind of new, where it was able to write code and kind of put stuff together. Now it's so insanely common, and what you can build is so accessible.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these really, really large software companies are at real risk.
Their team, and they're doing stuff with it. Yeah.
They're at real risk, so the more that you can build things where you're like, the data is the most important part of it, how you structure your data, how you put things together, to where, because like the beginner way to do it is to copy like a bullet, have a document that has a couple pages of information about your business. And every time you ask an AI model, you copy and paste it. Like, here's information about our business, for context.
I did that when I first got into GPT. I had like a saved text and I would do it, and I got off of that pretty quick.
Now I don't even want to say like the advanced way to do it. Like the next step up is to own your own database, and you can build these so fast and so easily by watching even just a couple of YouTube videos on how to build a RAG agent or an AI agent. And you can use tools like N8N, and you can in Supabase, and you can, plug and play all of these different tools inside, and then it syncs with your database that you own. It's like an Amazon Web's, AWS type of server, but it's more robust. It has vectors and embeddings, and it stores your data in a more intelligent way, and PostgreSQL and all these things that I had no idea about. Now I'm realizing
terms, but that's about as far as I go.
now I'm realizing what's possible with this. You are literally only limited by your imagination as far as what you have the capacity to be able to build.
Mm-hmm.
And the scary part about this, or the exciting part, depending on how you want to look at it, spending even just a couple hours watching some YouTube videos that are free can radically transform your entire business.
Yeah.
If you just sit down and follow some tutorials, like that's how accessible this stuff is. And we're talking like $20 a month, $50 a month, not super expensive platforms to be able to do this kind of thing. The new future is going to be understanding how APIs work, understanding how AI agents work, understanding how they think and how reasoning agents, and what agents should you be using for what, and how do you prompt different types of it. It's opening up an entire new skill set that is going to render a lot of the old skills completely irrelevant. And if you're listening to this or watching this and you aren't becoming obsessed with understanding how prompt engineering works and how, what AI models should you be using for certain things, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to end up paying these agencies an unbelievable amount of money to do stuff that you could probably do very easily and accessible, and you're going to get ripped off in a major way. Or you're just going to go out of business. Genuinely, I think that day's coming. A lot of people are like, oh, well, I have a painting business. Like, have you seen what these robots are doing? Like, have you seen that you can have a video of how someone does an action, and a robot's already getting to a point where they can mimic that almost flawlessly?
I mean, the whole iRobot thing with Will Smith from back
Dude, I'm telling you,
not that far away.
No,
it's really not. I think trades are going to go later than like like a lot of the things like we do. You know what I mean?
Yep.
No, but like you said, like everything's going to be assistance. It's not 100% AI. Even our job isn't going to go away. It's going to be heavily, heavily augmented with AI. And the companies like myself that still do everything the traditional way without leveraging a lot of AI, they're going to be
Mhm.
obsolete and overpriced in like a split second.
Oh yeah.
And I had someone, I heard someone talk about this in a video. They were like, this AI era is kind of like the horse and the car. At one point, like, there's a point where they're going to coexist, and at certain points, the streets are going to be, they're going to be littered with cars. The horse has no place on those roads anymore. You know,
Right.
and there was a period. It was Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about this. He was like, there's a period of time where everyone had horses to get around, and then within like a 10 or 20 year period of time, the entire country got re-engineered, and horse ownership is now just a luxury. You know, he was talking with somebody about like how gasoline cars are eventually going to like end up at like a luxury at a track. Then that's what it was. They were arguing about that, and it's like, yeah, eventually it's just going to be all robotic cars driving us around, and your, Chevy Chevelle or your, Porsche or whatever kind of sports car you have, you're only going to be driving them at tracks. And they're
Right.
like, no, that'll never happen. He's like, well,
Yeah.
there's a point where horses were on the road, and now people ride horses in loops, and it's recreational. So yes,
Yeah,
it can
man.
happen, and it probably will. You
Yeah.
know,
100%.
um,
100%.
yeah, dude. I'm gonna want to pick your brain offline a little bit more about some AI stuff. I'll show you some cool stuff that we're doing, man. I know that you guys are doing some really awesome stuff. I'm super excited to see where HireBus goes with it. Um, what other kind of AI tips do you have for folks?
I'd say the biggest thing that you can just kind of do right now is just talk to it every day. If like, oh my gosh, there's so much to learn. My brain is exploding with all these things. I feel so far behind. I don't even know where to begin. Where do I begin to start even learning this stuff? Do I go to YouTube or no? Just literally talk to Chat GPT and
Yep.
tell it. So what I do is when I drive, if I have like an hour long, 2 hour long drive, I prop my phone right up here. I hit a button and I just talk and I talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. And I have a two-way conversation with whatever LLM I decide to engage with, whether that's Gemini or Claude or ChatGPT or Grok,
Mm-hmm.
and just have a conversation. And I'll ask questions like, this is kind of how I got started and how I suggest you do it. I have no idea what's going on with AI. It's scary. I literally have no clue what to ask, where to begin. Help teach me a little bit. And then they'll start like talking through, and then you'll be like, I don't know what you just said right there. I'm a beginner. Could you explain that better? Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is it. Okay, well that's really interesting. Well, what do you think about this? Well, how do we do this one? Well, I want to use it for my business. I don't kind of know where to get started. Okay, I could start over here. Okay, great. Well, could you help like walk me through an initial project for this? And then ask it like, how should I talk to you? What's the best practice of how I should like prompt you? And because an amazing thing happens, there's a couple really cool key prompts that you can just ask or frameworks you can remember when you talk to an AI agent. And the biggest ones that I feel like are super important is if you're going to talk to an AI agent, there's a few things you need to do. Number one, you need to ask it to be critical of your idea and look for blind spots, because otherwise AI is such a people pleasing robot. It will
It'll just
tunnel in, it'll
it's true. It
hallucinate,
will.
it'll give you information just for the act of
Mm-hmm.
satisfying you. The second thing that you have to do is ask it to ask you questions for more context before it responds. So if
Yep.
you just say, hey, I want you to build a marketing plan for my business, it'll be like, great, here's what you need to do. But if you say, I want you to ask me 10 questions before you output it, like do that. And then you can
Mm-hmm.
also tell it, like, I want to solve this thing, but what's the best way to ask you? How should I prompt? You're a world's best prompt engineer. I want you to help design a prompt for me. And those types of little tools and tricks, if there's nothing else that you start doing with AI and you just start there, you'll be amazed at how quickly you can kind of catapult in knowledge. And just don't be afraid to just ask. If you don't understand something, if it's wrong, if it's off, if it's terrible, the response that you got is like, this is garbage. It has no clue what the heck it's talking about. Just tell it that.
Mm-hmm.
This is garbage response, and this is why it's garbage. This is what I was expecting. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Like, what's this? And you're like, well, I want you to ask me questions before you respond. Okay, great. And then it's just conversing with it. And I feel like everyone should really be talking for at least an hour or two a day, really, with these kind of AI models, because this intelligence ain't going away. It's going to become more ingrained in absolutely everything that you do.
Yep.
And
There was people 20 years ago like, oh, this YouTube stuff, it's just a trend, and now, I mean,
it's a more fundamental shift in electricity and
yeah,
the
it really
internet.
is. It's
Like
huge. It's huge.
everything's changed.
Hmm.
Everything
Yeah.
is changing.
I had a similar, what you were talking about, like ask ChatGPT on how to prompt ChatGPT. We had like an internal training moment a few weeks ago. Someone was struggling with something. We're like, hey, go to ChatGPT and do it. And they were like, well, I asked it, but the response sucks. And I was like, so two things that I did, and you just said both of them. As I was like, well, first of all, give it feedback on what sucks, and it'll do it differently. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
if you asked a human, let's say record a video, but that was it, record a video for my business. Chances are it's going to be pretty wrong because you didn't give a lot of context. But
Mm-hmm.
if you wanted to do that, that's okay. When it comes back, if you gave them critical feedback, like the length was too long, I don't like X, Y, and Z, do it more like this. Here's the intent. And all of a sudden, when it does another version, we're talking about a human here, right? Not an AI, a human. They would get the video closer to what you wanted because you have better instructions. And I just treat AI agents the same way,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I just give them critical feedback on whatever they do, and then it just gets better. And then the other part is like prompting for a prompt where someone was working on some content, like it's like email or something. Like the email sucks, and there was what's the email sucks. They were like, we can't recreate this in a new thread for a new client or for a new channel. And I was like, well, this one's good, right? They're like, yeah. So watch this. And I went in there and was like, please write me a prompt to recreate the results that I just got from this. And it actually created a reusable prompt that, when done, recreates very, very, very similar results. And I
Right.
literally just asked ChatGPT to help me recreate the thing that it just had
Right.
done.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's like
Yeah.
nothing else to it. I just did
Mm-hmm.
that, saved it in a document. It's like, like a paragraph's worth of prompt thing, a couple fill in the blank spots, and boom, done. And we use it for like email blasts or something like that. And I was like, dude, this is so simple. And I literally did nothing more than ask ChatGPT to give me the content for ChatGPT, which is like this really funny little comedy loop, but it works well, really, really well.
Yeah, isn't it something? Like
It is
even
crazy.
listening to NVIDIA CEO Jensen, he was talking about how the GPUs gave birth to AI, like enabled
Yep.
AI to be able to
They're
like
so much faster than CPUs. So much
exist.
faster.
And then the interesting thing is that now they're using these AI models to go back and further refine how the GPUs are now processed and built. And they're doing some monumental leaps forward of being able to render 90% of pixels on a screen just through ray tracing, and only 1 out of 10 pixels on a screen is real. And then AI interpolates live
I
at
saw
zero
that. I saw
latency.
that.
You
That
see
was
that?
so
Dude,
crazy.
I mean, like if
So crazy.
Ready Player One, iRobot, Minority Report, like the Terminator,
Mhm.
every one of these things, we're not talking about like decades away.
Did you see the one about like the Wi-Fi signals where they're using like Wi-Fi signals to use AI to recreate like a 3D rendering of what's inside of a building?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Wild. And
Yeah.
so that means it's like, in the future, like cops want to see how many people are in your house. They're not to figure that out. You know
No.
what I mean? They're going to be able to point a little Wi-Fi device, nothing like crazy, like a microwave or something like lethal, but like something as simple as a consumer Wi-Fi device, and point at your house. And in a minute, they're going to know every person that's in that building.
I
And they're going to
know.
have a perfect rendering of where your furniture is at. Think about
Dude, we're
something
gonna have
like,
people dropping off this pod right now because they're just they're gonna
now
realize
they're going to be scared. They're going to be like moving to the mountains, right? But
yeah.
think about like something like CQB, like close quarters combat for like a SWAT team. But like, a lot of times they're going into a door and they don't know what's behind the door. They can see the outside. They have no idea where furniture is and things like that when they walk in the
Mm-hmm.
door. With that technology, they can render the house before they even go in. Now they're not flying in blind,
Mm-hmm.
right? That
Yeah.
would keep police officers safer. Of course, the other end, they're going to be like, oh, anti-law enforcement people are going to be scared of that. But that's probably coming, man. And it's not that far away.
Mm-mm. No. No.
Wild.
So I mean, one thing that we probably, all of us and anyone who's listening to this, we kind of laugh about is watching an old person try to use a telephone or, social media or the
Wow.
internet. And we're like, come on, grandpa, like, come on, dad, like, this is how this needs to be. And this is our defining moment of if we are just going to resign the fact that we're going to be that person that just is grumpy and doesn't want to work with any of this confounded stuff, or we want to actually do the hard work that it takes to learn a new discipline and to stay current. And the reason why this is even more important and more critical is that fundamentally this is changing how humankind is going to be interacting with one another. And if it's a big black box of mystery and there's a lot of fear that's going to be kind of surrounding this kind of stuff,
Mm-hmm.
there's good reason to go in and learn this stuff from just a pure survival business side of things.
And
And
even the human side. I mean, think about like, um, you know, the voice AI bots, the video recreations and things like that. They're getting. I can tell them just a tiny bit today, but they're basically brand new. Give it a
barely, yeah.
year, dude. You'd be able to call me on my cell phone, and I could have a conversation and not even be you, and I would have no idea. In a year, that's possible, right?
Well, that's actually what this is. I mean,
Yeah,
I trained my AI bot, 3
yeah,
months
I
ago,
know.
and this
So
isn't even
Brandon
me.
AI, tell the real Brandon I said hi.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, like think about how many people hate like on hold music and calling in and having to push one to talk to support or whatever. I complain about that. I hate it. But now, like all of a sudden, you're going to be talking to AI bots instead of humans. Like
yeah.
you're not going to be talking to more humans. You're just going to
Mhm,
talk to robots in a different way.
mhm. And you probably will love it. I mean, right now it
Yeah,
might
I
be
agree.
frustrating, but the only reason why it's frustrating is because it interrupts you too often. It's not smart enough. It steps over the top of you, or it like takes an extra half second to respond.
Hmm.
That technology, those challenges are drastically dropping off, and the improvement is happening at such a fast scale that if a consumer is on Google at 7:30 at night looking at your business and they click a button and they're able to learn everything there is to know about your business and talk to
Ask
someone
all the questions
and
in
get the
real
things,
time.
ask the questions, find out everything, schedule an estimate, reschedule something, get something taken care of. Like, gone are the days of working hours are between 9 and 5, and now the human's going to have to be on call 24/7. We're going to have to pay for,
Yeah.
a phone answering service. We're going to have to, do this, and
Mhm.
it will be so integrated in where it'll be able to book and route optimized, exactly where your gaps are, and automatically instantaneously call 12 different customers to reorganize an insanely complex scheduling problem.
I
And every
know.
customer is going to like be happy, and like, that is coming, and that technology can actually be built today. It's just a matter of who is actually taking the time to work with these tools, learn these tools, and implement it, because the technology is all there right now to do everything I just said. And it's
All of it.
and
All
it's
of it.
becoming increasingly more easy to be able to do with just prompting and telling an AI agent what you want to build, and then they will build it for you.
Yeah.
And it's just how well you can describe your use case is the new skill set. How well you can articulate what users will be able to do, what your customers can do, where all of your context and your information, connecting it to all your tools, all your data. That is the new skill set in the new age of AI. And if you're not learning that stuff, then you're going to pay an entrepreneur that has learned all that stuff probably a lot of money, probably more than you
A
should,
lot of money.
to do
Think
all
about how
that.
much like custom apps are. You want someone to
Yeah.
like build a custom AI out, whew, it's going to make that seem cheap, you know?
I mean, it's actually it's not going to become cheap very soon. Or it's not going to become expensive very soon. Like, there's
You
going to
don't
be a
think so?
wave of people that just kind of like grab the whole AI transition thing.
Mm-hmm.
Using AI in your business is not going to become a competitive differentiator. It's going to become a requirement to be successful. And yes, there's a bleeding edge part where, some of us are just learning this and we're enacting maybe slightly ahead of our competitors. But that tidal wave will catch up, where it's like you're either doing it or you're dead. The end.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah, I agree.
It's not going to be a
Yeah.
competitive differentiator. It's going to be as critical as I can't rely on the phone book for customers coming in. Like, that's how big of a shift it's going to be.
Yeah, well, the human trends will shift. right? So like think about like right now, if I want pizza, I when I was a kid, and you would remember this too, we're close to the same age, like you didn't get pizza delivered. You had normally had to go get it. And then pizza delivery was a thing. And now DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these things. Like the other day, my wife ordered some I think that's actually no, it's this morning. My wife ordered some soup for my sick kid, and it was at our door in like 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's like there was no grocery trip required. It's like boom, done. So
Mm-hmm.
that's like a human expectation now, right?
Right.
And I don't think it's far away where we're going to expect real-time AI answers of any company right now through a chatbot or a phone agent, and we're not going to wait for a call back. We're not going to fill out a form and wait for someone to get back to us. We want the answers that we want right at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
And AI will make that possible. And it's not going to be too far away where if you don't have that, you will just be left behind.
Yeah. It's not going to be far away. It's,
Yeah.
it's, it's so accessible now. And, yeah, it is. It's moving very fast for
Did you
sure.
hear? Did you hear Simon Sinek was talking about? He was talking about how like in his town, like Starbucks had come in, and he was like, it's not. It wasn't the Starbucks was like came in and muscled other businesses out. They had a better model, and the other smaller mom and pops they just refused to change. So he's like, prior to Starbucks, and I know this is true. Old school coffee house, you go in, it's just black coffee, whole milk, sugar. That's it. There's no alternative creams or anything. He's like, so Starbucks comes right across the street and they've got like, almond milk and soy milk, all these other things. And so he's like, but I wanted the soy milk because I'm lactose intolerant, but I wanted to give this local shop, my business, I'd go in there and ask for a black coffee and say, do you have soy milk? Be like, nope. I'm like, okay, thanks, bye. And so you do this every day, and eventually that business went out of that shop went out of business.
Yeah.
It's like, look, that's not that crazy. It's just what consumers want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people are allergic to lactose, right? And like I love regular milk and I don't like soy milk, but some people are the opposite. And if you're a business, that kind of business, you should cater to both sides of that, right? It's just have them
Yeah.
all. Have all 10 milks. Who cares? It doesn't really cost that much money. Have the
Yeah.
new couch, shampoo the carpet. He's like, so that all they really did is they came in and they just illustrated how bad these other companies had gotten away with being for decades because this whole industry had been unchallenged.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, it's not that they went in and muscled them out. They just refused to elevate. And that's what you're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you, whatever trade you're in, whether it's my trade or your trade or a contractor trade, there's going to be a business that is going to use AI at a super level. And if you don't respond, you will be out of business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Boy, we covered like the whole gamut, man.
I
We
know,
went
dude.
from
I love it, man.
10% better every day to the AI revolution, and mass
And some health
extinction
stuff,
event is next, and
all kinds of fun, time blocking, all sorts of cool stuff.
yeah, it was awesome, man.
Yeah, super
I
awesome.
enjoyed it a lot. Enjoyed geeking out with you.
Me too, man. I love it. We think a lot alike, and I enjoy every time I get to chat with you, man.
Same.
Well, hey, everybody, we're going to wrap up for today. Brandon, I appreciate your time. It's always, always, always a pleasure. Everyone, I hope you got a lot of value out of this, and we guys will see you in the next episode.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Micha, and thanks to everyone for tuning in as well.
Absolutely. Hey, if you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. If you're looking for help growing your contracting business, I invite you to join my free community. In there, we go live with amazing trainings, share resources and downloads, plus you get free help from me and from peers. That link is down below to join, and we'll see you in the next video.